Sausage.
Hello, everyone. This is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Mark Krishnez, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Burnout Revenge, a racing game where you're just getting revenge all the time. If you've not played a Burnout game, it's a racing game, a racing series that's predominantly about crashing. Well, I mean, predominantly about racing. You're still trying to get in first place, typically. Well, always? There's not a race where you're ever trying to get in the last place a racing game where you wanted to get in a specific place. To win this race, you got to get in fourth place. That would be maybe a little bit interesting. But no, it's a racing game with an emphasis on crashing. That's a good way to put it. And this is the fourth in the series. There was, where was I going with that? No, but this was a cross-gen title at the time, cross-gen with the PS2 generation and the Xbox 360 generation. So it was one of those games that had versions on both consoles. The differences are mostly minute, I would assume, but based on what I've read, they might be bigger than you would expect in this one. I played the 360 version, and this is again the fourth version in the fourth game in the series. You had Burnout 1, Burnout 2, which I don't know if I had a subtitle, then Burnout 3 Takedown. And following this, as the fifth and final Burnout game, would be Burnout Paradise. There were also Burnout Crash, just the one, and maybe some mobile offerings. And I don't know about handheld versions, if those were unique titled ones or just iterations, dumbed down versions of console games. But my experience with the Burnout series is I played 1 and 2. I don't remember playing much of 3, if any. Then I had played about an hour or two of this Revenge previously, and I played through Paradise. So I'm a decent Burnout fan and was excited to go back to Burnout Revenge, remembering enjoying it back in the day and needing something that I felt confident was going to be a good time and give me a much needed break after playing and being frustrated with a few other games. Sadly, I don't know if it's Burnout Revenge or me growing out of being a Burnout fan, but a good time was not had. I did beat the game, if you want to call it beating the game. I reached the max rank and finished every event. Did I 5-star every event? No. I ended with probably somewhere in the 60% completion percentage ranking, but I have no intention of going back and trying to 5-star everything. The races are broken up into kind of time trials, which are fairly limited. Traditional races where you're trying to get in first place, elimination races, which is where you are racing and then every 20 or 30 seconds, the person in last place is eliminated until there's only one person left. Your takedown races, traffic attacks. Takedown races are where you're specifically trying to make the other opponents crash, and you have a certain number to reach to get a medal. And you get medals for each of these races from bronze to gold, or you can get no medal, as well as a rating for how well you did in the race in terms of did you have a lot of cool racing moments, good drifts, good boost sections, good takedowns, so on and so forth. That goes from good to great to awesome. And the traffic attack races are where you are just trying to run into as many cars as possible, keeping your combo meter up, keeping the timer up, and then your crash events, not really races, where you are specifically trying to cause as much mayhem as possible. That is one of the most popular modes in Burnout games. But I just didn't like playing this game. One of the reasons is the cars feel heavy. And based on what I read, I don't know if this is factual or not. The 360 version, which is the version I played on my Xbox Series X, they adjusted some of the things compared to the PS2 version, presumably because of technology and the HD nature of the 360 generation or console that is. So apparently, in the 360 version, the cars are heavier. And with that means it's a lot more difficult to take down other vehicles by sideswiping them or grinding against them and a wall, which is what I remember doing a lot of in it must have been Burnout Paradise as the last Burnout game I played in any significant way. And that became very frustrating. The way to take down cars in this game, or the best way, most consistent way, but still can be finicky, is to try and ram them from behind. Get your jokes out of the way. But it never felt good. And the number of times I would get a car up against the wall and grind against them for 5+ seconds to no avail, to just nothing would happen. It was really frustrating because I remember that working in at least one other Burnout game. The visuals also would become a nuisance at times. And I'm assuming this is because of the 360 version and wanting to utilize whatever it offered over the PS2 and that generation of consoles. And that when you're on a track and it's very sunny, you would be coming up across the horizon or in other situations, and the sun would be blasting so bright that it would blow out everything else in the game. And it would just, you wouldn't be able to see anything. And it made it very easy to run into something or crash in some way for no reason other than the game's brightness being way too high. That was frustrating. I don't know. I don't really know what else there is to say about the game. The crash mode I didn't love. I found the camera angles they would use and where the camera would go during those to be very frustrating. And a lot of this is stuff that may be prevalent across the series, which is why I'm saying that maybe I've grown out of loving the Burnout games. But when you would do a crash, it would focus on your car, yes. But when things are happening, it would sometimes go and show you, oh, this car is crashing, but it typically wouldn't do that. It would only do that if it's following the target car, which is a bonus car you want to take out to earn some extra points during crash modes. But what was extra frustrating is that I wanted full camera control so that when my crash breaker would build up and I'd be able to use it, I want to be able to survey the environment, the space, to figure out where I want to send my car when I get the crash breaker, which is ability to explode your car after it's already been totaled and then send it flying in some direction or other to hopefully start another chain reaction in the crash mode specifically. But I found that so often, and you can press the A button, which is maybe the crash breaker button, to give yourself camera control for a little bit, but it'll quickly reset and you'll have to redo it again. It just felt like the game was against me so often. And speaking of crash breaker, in races, when you have the aftertouch ability, so after you crash, you have aftertouch, which allows you to manipulate your car. 99% of the time, I couldn't move my car at all. I don't even know why aftertouch is there. And the aftertouch time is so long, it feels like, where I'm waiting, unable to do anything because the aftercharge does nothing, and I just have to wait to be thrown back into the race. That becomes frustrating. It's just like, okay, can I just get back in the race? This does nothing, so just get me back in the race. And yeah, I really like the crash breaker races specifically because those were incredibly hectic. Those are where when you die, when you crash and get totaled, you always have the crash breaker so that if you crash and you see a car is coming up behind you and is about to pass your totaled car, you can press a button, set off an explosion, take them out, then you'll come back with full boost. And that is very satisfying. But it feels like there is a missing component to those races, a missing penalty to those races, where maybe you would only be able to do that a number of times before you're totaled permanently. You have to restart the race from the beginning, but that's not the case. You can do that every single time. So if you're in first place and then you crash because you ran into some oncoming traffic or side driving traffic or a pole or whatever, all you have to do is wait for the people behind you to catch up, set off your crash breaker, and be basically still in first place with full boost. And it takes a bit of the challenge and excitement away from those races. I mean, it's still exciting because you're constantly seeing explosions, but it does feel like the cheating person's mode. And maybe that's why I liked it. Visually, it's fine. Ran well enough. I don't know if the music is good, if the soundtrack is good, because I had it turned off for streaming purposes. I don't want any of that licensed music blasting, so I don't know how good or not the soundtrack was. But yeah, I just had a really not great time with it. And every single night after I finished streaming, I said, I think I might be done. And kept coming back because I couldn't think of anything else to do. But it was really disappointing. It has me curious. I really want to check out the PS2 version to see if it does feel and also look different in terms of the overblown blooming and all that sunlight crap, as well as takedowns. Because maybe it is the 360 version specifically that is not great. And the PS2 version, I would assume there's an original Xbox version, but I'm so curious. I'm very, very curious. Because I love the original Burnout, which did not look good. That was a game that had an idea, had a concept, and showed that the Burnout formula was fun. And then they upped the production value on 2, and people love 3. And I enjoyed Burnout Paradise, but I especially loved those early games. But with Revenge, it just didn't it didn't work out for me. Yeah. I don't know what there is to say about a racing game all that much, except what I already said about this. So that'll do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Mark Kuznez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoyed this here episode or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. There you can get access to the sausage dump where I talk about this, that, and whatever, as well as a private Discord channel and some fancy Discord roles. Or you could just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is, again, patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. But that is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoy this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. But for now, adios, arrivederci. Bye. Bye.
It's go time.